Hey guys, I'm Mel, and today I'm going to tell you my 16 favorite books of 2016. So this year has been a year of growth, and it made me know myself and my reading taste so much more. It made me realize that I don't have to read the same thing over and over, and just because I have a preconception on a genre, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to like at least some of the books in that genre. And I think my favorites reflect that, and I think this list also reflects the fact that I've been trying to read more diversely and more own voices books, since the majority of these books are own voices. Number 16 is The Girl from Everywhere by Heidi Haley. This is about a girl who lives on a ship that can travel through time, with her dad who is obsessed with finding her mom in the 19th century Hawaii. This was a super adventurous book that brought distinctive and new things to the fantasy genre. And even though I gave it 4 stars, I think it was incredibly memorable. Number 15 is Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This tells the experiences of being a black man in the US through letters to his son. This has such a powerful narration, both striking and heartbreaking, with no sugarcoating on hard topics. It's a raw and heartfelt letter to someone growing up in this time, with a system that caters to violence against black bodies. What's a Girl Gotta Do by Holly Bourne is the 3rd book in the Spinster Club series, and it's about a girl who decides to call out every instance of sexism she sees. This is such an empowering book with flawed characters that just want to be better people, and how the anger and the sadness you experience can fire you up to act. And while it's not an easy or a fun job, little actions can bring bigger actions, and they can end up in something spectacular. Number 13 is Every Harriet Doorway by Shannon McGuire. This is about an institute for children who travel to fantasy lands and who have to come back and adapt to the real world. This is an atmospheric and whimsical book that challenges you to think about the world and about morality. It also has fantastic asexual and transsexual representation. Number 12 is Asking for It by Louise O'Neill. This is about a girl who gets raped on a party and the consequences of that in her small town. This is one of the most frustrating, thought-provoking and brilliantly written books that I've read. It discusses victim blaming and how the victim of the rape has to do the explaining and show the proof for people to believe her. And even though it's messed up, we have to listen to these stories because these things happen in real life. Number 11 is the Reckoner series by Brandon Sanderson. This takes place in a world where supervillains have all the power and rule the world, and there is this group of people called the Reckoners that are trying to take them down. These books were everything that action books should be. The main character is super smart and witty, but at the same time he has so much room for development, and there are so many more interesting and complex characters that we get to meet through this trilogy. It was original and wonderfully written. Number 10 is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This is about a girl who starts being friends with a guy who is behind her favorite podcast, and their lives with their hobbies, friends and academic. This was the perfect book for me at a time when I needed to see bisexual representation on page, but also gay, demisexual, mixed race, Korean representation, and it's such an important and gorgeous book, full of art, friendship and small commentaries about things like privilege, heteronormative societies and higher education. Number 9 is In Order to Live by Yomi Park. This is a non-fiction book about a girl who escaped North Korea and her journey to freedom. This is the personal and honest story that exposes a corrupt and barbaric government, but also that explores humanity and what you're willing to do to get what you want, all with amazing and brave writing. Number 8 is Kindred by Octavia Butler. This is about a girl who lives in the 70s and who travels back to the slavery time, where she meets her ancestor and has to make sure that they both stay alive. In this book, time traveling is a tool to show us a terrible time in history, with complex and descriptive writing and a heartbreaking plot that just speaks to you and makes you think. Number 7 is Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. This is about a girl from Nigeria who gets the opportunity to move to the US, so her boyfriend and her have to break up, and then we get to follow their separate life. This was an insightful and intelligent book with strong opinions, commentaries and emotions, with learning experiences on racism and missing home. Number 6 is The Tyranny of Petticoats, edited by Jessica Spotswood. This is a collection of short stories on strong women through history, from the 1700s to the 60s. I love that so many stories in these collections were from women of color, fighting in a war that has constantly tried to put them down. Women who are queer, women who care for other people, who are independent, who have magic, who are magical, and who choose their own destinies. Number 5 is Homegoing by Jassy. This tells the story of several generations of a black family, from Africa to the US, from the 18th century to the 21st century. This allowed me to connect with different characters in different levels. It deconstructed every preconception that I had on black history, with powerful writing and individual stories that connected through the book. Number 4 is The Fifth Season and the Obelisk Gate by N.K. Jemisin. This takes place in a post-apocalyptic world, in a supercontinent called the Stillness, and every few centuries the inhabitants of that world have to endure a catastrophic climate change. The world building was fantastic in this one, but what really drew me in is the history, the belief system, and the commentaries on systemic oppression and the ideologies that they were fed. Number 3 is Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo. This is the second book on the Six of Crows duology. I thoroughly enjoy how she constructs these characters and their stories and their personalities and the way they fight their traumas. Also how this group of people who are racially diverse, with disabilities, PTSD, dealing with moral decisions, trying to find redemption in their different religions, manage to find and save each other. Number 2 is No Surprise is When the Moon Was Ours by Anna Marie McLemore. It's about a girl who is a Latina and who can grow roses from her wrist, and about her best friend who is a trans boy who only wants to help her. This is slow and it reads like poetry, but the truly amazing thing is how Anna Marie McLemore treated her characters. How much respect she has for them, for their stories, for their identities and for their bodies, and how culturally and sexually diverse it was. It just blew me away. Number 1 is also No Surprise, and that is Juliet Takes a Breath by Gaby Rivera. This is about a girl who leaves her home to work with her favorite feminist author. I love this book and it's my favorite because it spoke to my identity in a way I've never experienced before, and not only my cultural and sexual identity, but more on my creative, my feminist and my woman identity, and it just resonated with every part of my body. And it will always be a book that changed a lot of my ideas but also validated a lot of them, and I'll always be grateful for that. Okay, those are my favorite books of 2016. I can't believe it's over. Hope you had a wonderful year. Tell me if you read any of the books I mentioned, and tell me what your favorite book of the year was. Okay, that's everything. Hope you like this. If you subscribe, and I will see you when I see you. Bye.